Hello and welcome to Plants Always Win,
the podcast where two Ontario gardeners explore the wide world of horticulture,
bust some myths,
and answer your plant and garden questions.
I'm Sean, aka Garden Guy Muskoka, professional gardener, horticulture technician, and master gardener of Ontario.
And I'm Erin, aka Earth Undaunted, an amateur turned garden writer who loves garden ecosystems.
Quick disclaimer, it's important to note that everybody brings with them their own knowledge and experience. And although I am a member of the Master Gardeners of Ontario, not everything I say is a direct reflection of the organization or its members.
We do our best to bring you the most factually correct information with citations, which you can find in our show notes at plantsalwayswin.com.
Now, as always, we start with what's growing on, where we catch up on what's happening in our garden. So, Erin, what is growing on?
A lot of quack grass. So anyone who has followed me on socials knows that I had COVID in April this year, and then it rained for 2 months straight, and I never caught up. So I've got potatoes and onions and my perennials, and that's about it for this year. I have plans, now that I have my handy long-handled gardening tools, to really clean out the beds as things are dying down, mulch them really well, and start fresh in the new year.
Yeah. Well, how about this? We will showcase your brand new tools. I'll show you some of my tools. And in the process, we will together, I'll help you catch up and prepare for next year. We'll do some garden cleanup, and we will compare tools on social media for people to see all these brand new. Do you say ergonomic? Like they're kind of, how would you describe them?
They're accessible, certainly. I don't know if they market them as ergonomic specifically, but the point is that you don't have to bend and kneel to use them. What's growing on in your garden?
Well, let's see. I planted a couple of fruit trees last year, a couple of crab apples, and a plum. And the plum was growing 2 plums. I was so very excited. Because I don't think we've described to people where we're from yet, but we are from Central Ontario. So it's a zone 4. You don't see a lot of diversity when it comes to fruit orchards and fruit trees. It's mostly apples, if you have any, and usually crab apples. But I decided to test my limits. I have some cherries, a plum, and some crab apples. When we got back from our road trip, the 2 plums are gone. They're just missing. So sad.
Maybe the same deer that ate all my grapes.
Oh, you got your grapes are gone, eh?
All of them.
Oh no. Yeah. No. Well, there's always next year. We'll set up a perimeter. We'll work on something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm just trying to clean up at this point in time, preparing for next year. We have way too many tomatoes. I have one giant pumpkin. It's still growing. I'm very excited about that. But otherwise, we're just prepping for next year. Also, all of our chickens are gone. They were, yeah. Before we left, there was a couple of raccoons, 3, a little family of raccoons.
I saw your post.
Yeah, but after that first post, it wasn't a big deal. I reinforced the fencing. I found some holes. I thought I patched things up. And a couple days later, they were all gone, all in one night. Yeah. Corpses left behind. Maybe I shouldn't say that on the air, but it was a massacre. And so we're going to start fresh. We're going to clean up. We're going to rebuild. Now is the time to renovate. And I think next year we'll raise some chicks in the spring. And it's exciting, but that also means that we don't have to heat a chicken coop over the winter. So that's kind of cool.
That's good.
I like to try and see a silver lining.
So that's the theme for this fall is clean slate.
I like that. Start fresh for next year.
Yeah.
Oh, I do love the fall, though. We're getting into, as we continue to record this, we're getting into like clearance sales and true, your garden shut down and dormancy and prepping for next year. We've got a lot to talk about. And it's not even, well, it is fall. I was going to say it's not Halloween yet. It doesn't feel like fall, but when we were coming back on our way back through Thunder Bay, they had like a -3 degree hard frost.
Oh.
And I that was like, this is a stark warning. We're not really geographically, we're not terribly far from Northern Ontario, but that was a warning. And since
You-
then, yeah.
TikTok reminded me yesterday that my first year living here, we actually had a frost warning on the 9th of September.
Oh, really?
Because, yeah, I had an amazing garden that year, bumper crops of everything. And I had to run outside at twilight to harvest everything I could and cover everything else. Of course, in the end, nothing was actually killed that night, but we had the warning.
Right. Yeah, we I think we had a warning just the other day even in our region. I had a couple clients send me a text message, "Hey, you're going to come over after it frost kills my gardens?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess." That is my job. I don't know how I'm supposed to respond to that. Okay, so normally what we do is we talk about what's going on and then we get into our plant face off section. But before we dig into that, what do you say we take a quick water break?
And we're back with the Plant Face Off. This is where Sean and I try to win your votes with our hand picked plant topics of the day. We'll each try to one up each other with the most fascinating facts and interesting intrigues, and when we're done, you get to pick your favorite topic of the episode. Cast your vote across social media with the hashtag PAWFaceoff.
So the winner of our last episode was
The winner was you because you said, "Will you join my podcast?" And I said yes.
I did win. That's right. So today my plant topic of choice, it's going to be hard to beat if I'm being honest with you. I've got a leg up. You cannot defeat this. It's you. You are my plant topic for today. So I figured as a fun little first episode, maybe a demo, or however we decide to roll with this, we could interview each other. What we're going to do in the future is perhaps have special guests on, as well as our fun topics of the day. And we're going to ask silly questions and we're going to learn things that we didn't already. But today, I want to learn more about you, or at least I want our listeners to learn a little bit more about you, which means I'm a shoo-in. So let's get started. I have 3 questions for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. What got you into the gardening world?
It's all my mom's fault.
Isn't that always the way?
It is. She had so many gardens and she just kept adding more. And apparently, once when I was about 7, I would say, I looked at her and I said, "Mom, you have to leave some lawn for playing on." But it was only a year or 2 later that I stole one of her gardens and made it my own. So, you know,
Wait, how old were you?
I don't know, 8 or 9.
Yeah. You know how old my daughter is. I don't know if
Mhm.
I'm going to declare that openly on the internet quite yet, but basically she basically did the same thing. She said next year I'm going to take one of your gardens. And I was like,
Love it.
sure. Yeah. Why not? So it's your mom's fault you got into the gardening world, but
Mhm.
that's just your general interest in gardening. What got you into what you do right now on social media, which is, I'm not sure how to describe it, accessible gardening?
Yeah, so I came to accessible gardening out of necessity. I have hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome,
That's a
and
mouthful.
it is. It's a connective tissue disorder. So
Oh, okay.
in the last year, that's been manifesting as, joints coming out of place and a lot of pain with them. But for decades before, I've had other problems that we just didn't know the source of. Chronic back pain, chronic fatigue, developed chronic migraines a few years ago. And so all of these things have really made gardening difficult. But at the same time, gardening has been, my happy place throughout it all. So I desperately want to be out there with my hands in the soil, but at the same time, I'm struggling with, um, you know, heat intolerance and exercise intolerance. I get dizzy if I bend over on bad days. Just really fatigued, and sometimes it's not safe for me to lift heavy things because my shoulder joints are in a bad way. So I have had to develop all sorts of ways of gardening that are gentle on my body. And one day I made a video and put it on TikTok of me doing some sheet mulching. And I explained that I was doing that instead of digging because even though it took longer, it was gentler on my body. And my comment section just exploded with other people going, "Oh my gosh, I thought I couldn't garden, but I see that I can." And so after that, I just started making a ton of content along the same lines. And it has been so rewarding to see how many people really resonate with it and can benefit from it.
That's amazing. You found your niche. I don't even I don't even have anything to add to that or to ask. That's amazing. What I would say is, when I found your content, because I found you on TikTok, reached out to a total stranger, said hi, we became friends.
Mhm.
It was the accessibility that I was like, yes, yes, I love this. Even though, like, I do this as a job, like I do this for other people. You got to pace yourself. You can only do what you can do, right? When it comes to gardening, there's I'm going to use air quotes and say best practices,
Mm.
and then there's whatever you can do.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you're just doing anything at all, you're winning. You're doing great. And so I had a lot of respect for you and your content when I found you, and I was like, heck yeah. Then the fact that we lived relatively close was a weird coincidence, but fun.
Yeah, no, that was exciting to me because when you first reached out, and I'm wary of telling people where I live because it's a small town, but as soon as you named the next town over, I said, "Oh, well, that's okay."
Yeah. Well, and now our both of our partners work together, and so
Mhm.
that's kind of a fun little coincidence too. So let's move on to question number 2. By the way, if anyone listening has anything they want to add or ask, feel free. Feel free to reach out if you have a comment based on the things that we're talking about. We'll talk about how you can do that later. So, question number 2: why on earth are you doing this podcast with me?
I was really excited when you asked me about doing the podcast with you. I had toyed with the idea of doing a podcast before, but it was just, where am I putting my energy? And
Yeah.
doing a whole podcast by myself seemed like a lot. But I love speaking, I love presenting, and I left my job of 11 years last year and started freelancing as a copywriter and an editor. And I have been working on making more and more of the work I do related to forestry and horticulture. So if I can make part of my schedule also doing a podcast about plants, that's super exciting to me and just helps me tie my whole life together into the vision I have for it. Also, every time you and I have gotten together and started talking about plants, we are just immediately like so into the weeds of it and so excited, and just we could talk forever about the tiniest little thing. uh Funny story for our listeners: when we were brainstorming about what the podcast might look like, Sean said to me, you could pick a topic like, I don't know, daylilies. And I went, "Oh, there's so much to say about daylilies." And across the porch, there was a peal of laughter from both of our wives who were standing there
Yeah.
chatting, and they're just looking at us like,
The biggest
"You
nerds.
two are
Yeah.
so ridiculous and adorable." But there's so much to say about daylilies.
There are. There are. That'll be a plant topic for the future. I'm really trying on this first episode not to get stuck in the weeds, but
I
it's
know.
gonna be something that we do. We're gonna veer off course quite often. So just to give our listeners a heads up now, get used to it. I was thinking about calling the show Plant Tangents, but then it was too close to SciShow Tangents. That's great though. So why are you doing this podcast? You're just interested in learning more and talking more about it and sharing that and really tying all the different plant related stuff in your life together. Things come
Yep.
full circle.
Yeah.
Because I mean, as you and I both talk about it, in the end, it doesn't matter what you've got going on in your life. Plants will always win out.
It's true.
Hence the name. Let's move on to question number 3. What? Oh, this is controversial. And I'll be honest with you, I'm stealing this question from Ologies. Please forgive me, Allie Ward. What is your least favorite thing about gardening?
I mean, right now it's quack grass.
This question can change every week. Do we want to re-ask this question?
Oh my gosh.
Plant rant. What is pissing you off this week?
Yes, there will always be something else. But all year this year it's been the quackgrass because there was just so much rain and it just took over so strongly. When
Yeah.
I moved in here, I had a plan because I'm on very solid clay. There's a lot of dead wood on this property, and my plan was to just do hugelculture. Which, if people aren't familiar with that term, you pile up dead wood, you mulch it, you can add soil if you have it, and you grow on it, and over time it breaks down into beautiful, beautiful soil.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't planning to dig down at all. But when I asked my landlord about gardening, she said, "Oh, I'll have my father-in-law come over and cultivate the area that used to have a garden before we bought the property." And so he came over with his tractor. But the tractor isn't careful, and it just mixed all the quackgrass roots in with the soil. So even though, it was the spot with the best soil on the property, and it did really well for 2 years, it there's no escaping those roots now. So I
Nope.
am working on building up for next year, making raised beds so that I have a chance against it at least.
Yeah. And you came over a little while ago and I showed you some of my raised beds. Super not massive, not super
Mhm.
tall, not expensive, not fancy or made of metal, just some recycled lumber and I'm actually very excited because my intention, I don't know if I've already expressed this to you or not, was to help you get set up with all that. And so I was excited. It's so much fun to build a new garden. And that is, I mean, again, that is my job, but I'm very
Yeah,
excited.
you mentioned it, and when I got home, I realized we just can't get to the log pile until the grasses die down a bit because it's
Oh, okay.
so choked and covered with them. So maybe
Yeah.
later in the fall would be a good plan.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We will do that and we will post it across all the socials. Because are you
Absolutely.
really a content creator if you don't post 5 times a day?
Everything is content.
What's that song from the Lego movie? Did you ever watch that?
Oh, yes.
Everything is awesome. Now it's just content.
Yeah.
Everything is content. And just going around with like 3 selfie sticks.
All right, new plan. We find a clip from that song and we record over it with everything as content and we go viral.
Heck yeah.
All right.
And then Lego sues us for
Oh.
using it.
Hmm.
Darn. You know what? Actually, if Lego can create a little garden guy, and I'll put my logo on his chest like a Superman, but like garden guy Muskoka, super.
His name was Guy, wasn't it?
I think his name was Guy. I have to rewatch that now.
Yeah. Okay,
Please
that's the
excuse
homework.
me.
Before you go, I have to, come back and do my side of this, and I think I might have a topic that actually rivals yours.
Oh, I doubt it.
Because well, my topic this week is you.
Well, see, I already won.
I don't think so because, my topic is somebody with, you know, actual education in gardening, and he's a master gardener and a horticultural technician, and his full-time business is working with clients' gardens. I think that's pretty epic. So I've got
Hmm.
some questions for you.
It sounds oddly familiar, but go on.
My first question, you won't be expecting it. What got you into the gardening world?
So it's I really hate to steal your answer, but it's along the same veins. So of course, growing up, my mother had a lot of house plants, and it's the staples, right? We're talking spider plants, snake plants, nothing fancy, nothing exotic. I mean, technically, they're all exotic. What am I saying? They're house plants. None of them are native, but a lot of house plants, and we moved a lot, and that's one of the things that we always kind of brought with us. I didn't do a heck of a lot of gardening as a kid, but I was outside a lot. I was an outdoors kid. I was exploring the ravine and the forests and walking to school through those trails all the time. Eventually, um, while I was in post secondary, I was studying something else. It was a little stressful. It wasn't working out for me, and my mom said, "Hey, why don't you just come home and study this horticulture program in the neighboring college? You can save up some money, switch and go study plants." I was like, "Great, yeah, awesome." I did that. I moved back in with my mom for a while. It wasn't that bad. I exaggerate. Studied horticulture as a horticulture technician, which is a CODA program in Ontario colleges that stands for Co-op Diploma Apprenticeship. I finished it, finished my apprenticeship, finished my co-op, got my diploma. And as much as I was very interested in the plant sciences side of things, I didn't foresee a path, and I kind of fell into an unfortunate trap, and I'm trying to currently make the best out of it. Which is that I was a young, fit man with an education in plants, and I fell into the labor field where they're like, "Oh yeah, you can garden and you know plants and you can do all this stuff and do the physical labor 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. Like, yeah, great, we'll hire you." And it just sort of kept going. And so yeah, I started my gardening career right out of school and fell into gardening as a job. As much, like I said, I'd love to. That's kind of why I'm doing this. I'd like to explore more of the sciencey stuff, but a lot of people need help in the gardens, and there's a lot of people who think that they know the right way to garden. Not that there is a right way. We're going to get into some controversial topics if I keep going into this. So that's what got me into the gardening world. And then when my wife and I moved up here to be closer to her family and whatnot, I joined a couple different hort societies. So I joined the local small towns horticulture society. And I realized that people are asking questions, and I'm like, oh, I can answer these questions. And so then I looked into the Master Gardeners of Ontario. I had no idea who they were or what they were doing. I think that they could potentially benefit from a little PR, if I'm being a little frank. But their mandate as a nonprofit is to essentially answer people's gardening and plant related questions and help the general public with their gardens. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. I love that. And so I joined, and yeah, here I am several years later. I finished my all that stuff. So I have a certificate on the wall right here. Not that we're showing people this recording, but
I heard the tap.
You heard the tap. I'm tapping on the wall as a master gardener, and started my own business a couple years ago. And yeah.
Have you found since starting your own business, is it more rewarding than laboring in the way you were before, or is it very similar?
So that's a great question. It's like, does the barista go home and make coffee? It's um, I do still enjoy it. It is sometimes rewarding because it is a job, because it is a skilled labor that I'm offering people. What I found is the people side of it sometimes brings you down a little bit. People have their own expectations, or they argue over money or how things look, how they want things. Sometimes people have really unrealistic expectations, and I have to constantly tell people that this is not your house in Florida. This is your cottage in Muskoka. It's very, very different. Um, and so it's the people side of things that make it a little bit tough sometimes. But if I'm being also honest, uh, doing this hard labor, and let's not kid ourselves, it can be hard labor for several years. It's starting to wear on me. Yeah, I'm also a father, and I've got my own gardens to work on, some other stuff, trying to keep up with my kiddo. And so physically, I've had to adopt some efficiencies and learn those which corners you can cut, uh,
Mm.
literally and metaphorically. um, but yeah, it's still rewarding for the right people. I have a couple of amazing clients who are just the nicest human beings who fully understand the amount of work that goes into things, and they are truly appreciative, and that keeps me going. Like I want to help them. If I could do what I'm doing and not think about money and just,
Mm.
so one of my dreams is to have a botanical garden or something to that effect in Muskoka. The fact that Muskoka doesn't have a botanical garden blows my mind. And just have a salary and then just commit every day to going out into the gardens, and teach people and help people and share knowledge and continue to learn because things keep changing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, our knowledge, science doesn't change. It's just our knowledge of it keeps changing. That's what I would love to do. It's it's still a dream. I'm still dreaming about the garden dream.
So, what I'm getting from that answer is that between plants and people, plants always win.
Yes. Yeah, even the invasive plants, they have, it's not their fault. I don't
Yeah.
blame them. Yes, plants always win over people. Plants make good company.
Mhm.
As I sit here in my fully illuminated planty basement with all the lights and terrariums and stuff.
So, you touched on this a little, but I'd still like to ask it. Why are you doing this podcast with me?
Oh, so fun little piece of personal history. I started a plant podcast already. Did I tell you about that?
A little bit.
Yeah. A couple of years ago with a friend of mine. So when I started listening to podcasts about 6 or 7 years ago, um, I really wanted to, I loved it. I wanted to have an excuse to reach out to professionals within their industry and ask them about things and just sit down and have a conversation and learn these things. But not only do that, show people the things that I'm also actively learning because um, I found that I had so many more questions and it never ends. And so this is kind of my way of continuing the education side of horticulture. I never got into the science field and I really wish that I had. And so this is my way to continue learning and to share it, of course, with other people as much as I can.
I love that.
Also, it's a good excuse to reach out to strangers. Hey, do you want to be on my podcast? It doesn't exist yet, but you can.
Yeah, I love that too. Well, I will also then steal from ologies for the final question and ask you what is your least favorite thing about gardening, at least right now.
Right now. Whew. There are so many different directions that I could take this. My least favorite thing is, oh gosh, I want to do like a top 10 least favorite. I'm not going to. I'll pick one. It's the fact that invasive species are still actively allowed to be sold at garden centers. And it blows my mind. We have known about some of these plants for a very long time, and the garden centers know. They've been told, and there aren't really regulations. Although there are some organizations who are trying to implement regulations, we are going to definitely have to have an interview with CIPR, CCIPR, the Canadian Coalition of Plant Regulation something. What, I think I got that right. If I got that wrong, we'll fix that in that episode. Um, that's a couple of master gardeners who got together and founded a nonprofit. Now they're trying to encourage regulations because, yeah, these plants who are actively destroying ecosystems are still being sold. And people just go to a garden center and they expect that the plants being sold are safe. I don't
Mhm.
expect them to think any differently or to know any differently. But once your eyes are open to what is an invasive plant, which is again subjective to really where you are, um, and the impact that they have on not just your property but the surrounding area. Once your eyes are open to that, you can't shut them. You can't stop seeing them. Like I hate to use the word, but I am a professional gardener. And even my property is riddled with invasive species from previous homeowners or from neighbors who, like, I have one neighbor who's like, "Oh, I'm so excited. I got this plant. It's a beautiful ground cover." And I'm like, "That's periwinkle. Stop it." That's my least
Yeah,
favorite thing today. That's my plant rant. Stop
that's
buying
fair.
invasive plants. You can do whatever you want in your garden. I don't care as long as you're not intentionally putting invasive plants out there.
Given the amount of money now being spent on remediation for wild areas, you would
Yeah.
think that there would be some regulation, but of course, we run into this all the time. It's the wrong level of government that's paying for that remediation. They're
Yeah.
because that money is coming from municipal governments, and
Yep.
municipal governments aren't the ones that can put in those kind of laws.
Even on a provincial level, it's really tricky, and then you've got the federal level, right? Like, so all of our
Hmm.
different levels of government, it's almost too many cooks in the kitchen to actually get something accomplished as small as regulations for invasive plants. It's kind of funny you were talking about the economic side of things. So this is something we're going to touch on. Forgive my tangent, but this past spring I was at a Master Gardener conference, and one of the speakers was Kathy from the one of the founders of CIPR, CCIPR that I mentioned earlier, and she was talking about the economic impact. And it's gotten to a point in Canada where the Auditor General, who is not an environmental scientist, has a list of the big bads and has published these, like, the really bad invasive plants. Here's a list of them. Let's stop selling these. Let's stop buying these because it's an exponential growth of cost. The more these plants spread, the more it's going to cost to fix. And ultimately, guys, that's the taxpayer money. That's you guys. I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on. We, as the people living here, are ultimately going to be paying for it. So, yeah, absolutely. We should recognize which plants are bad and stop selling them. it's it's a band-aid solution to go and rip out invasive species from a conservation area if they're still being sold.
Hmm.
So that's my little. Hey, look at that! A second rant. That one's free. It's on the house. My goodness. You know what we could do? We could have an entire episode on rants. I've got goodness me. We shouldn't, because that's gonna get heated. That, but that will spark a lot of people sending us emails and interacting with the socials. So maybe
Yeah.
hatred is a good marketing tactic.
My TikTok rant about planting only male trees in cities got a lot of traction. So,
Really?
mhm.
Oh, so the funny thing, like, I don't disagree with that. It's just it doesn't always work out that way. And plants always win. They there have been documented cases of a lot of so some plants, like some trees, do in fact have male and female, which is what you were talking about in your video that you post. Um and some hermaphrodize later and
Mm.
grow like a little female branch, just because they want to do what they want to do. They want to
Yeah.
reproduce. Anything that has a flower wants to pollinate, wants to cross pollinate. They want to reproduce that way. The other means that they continue to stay alive, like perennials and trees and shrubs, and the rhizomes and the stolons and the tubers and the bulbs, those are all like secondary tactics. ultimately they want to, that's why they have the flower. They want
Yeah.
to
They don't
have a
want
subsequent.
clones.
Yeah.
They want yeah, new generations with new DNA for
Yes. That's it, because there's a chance that they'll adapt to whatever problem they're currently facing. And so,
mhm,
yeah, I love the
genetic
evolution
diversity.
of plants. Yeah, genetic diversity. Honestly, so that's why I'm going on another tangent. Whew. That's why I personally am not opposed to nativars and cultivars. Some of them I am. There's an interesting thing. So a cultivar, a cultivated variety, or a nativar, which is a cultivated variety of a native species. Most of the time, we're doing that for aesthetics. We are manipulating nature and we are crossbreeding to our own beautification standards. Blah blah blah. Nature does that anyways. To a certain
Mhm.
extent, they cross pollinate, they produce new babies. Those new babies are supposed to be more or less well adapted to whatever challenges they happen to be facing right now or their parents were facing. So, with each subsequent generation, there is change, there is adaptation, there is evolution. Um, Flowers that are, do you know what a double flower is?
I do,
You
but
do.
describe it anyway.
Oh, a double flower is a flower with basically a double layer or multiple layers of the petals, which are the beautiful, vibrant colors, at a cost of the center of the flower, the part that has the reproductive parts, the parts that have pollen and nectar, the parts that benefit nature. And so if you see like a double snapdragon, for example, it's really freaking cool.
But bees can't get in there.
Yeah. And there's almost nothing when they do get in there, there's almost nothing in there. And so at a cost of food for the wildlife, it just looks prettier to our eyes, which is very selfish. So I don't, as much as I love double flowers, they're cool and neat and fun. I try not to invest in those. However, hybrid varieties or new varieties of old staples um, are things that would happen, could potentially happen in nature, anyways. I have a lot of purple coneflower, and I also have a couple others that aren't purple coneflower that are still echinacea.
I have black currants that I picked specifically because they're resistant to rust, and
Mhm.
I have some century old pines around me, and I don't want those pines to contract rust because I brought currants onto the property.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and then I gave you some clones of my fruit
Hmm.
because why not?
Yeah.
Genetic diversity. So if you could do anything for your garden, that's probably the best way to help the wildlife. Have a little bit of everything, except for invasive species.
Yes. Yeah. Diversify, diversify.
I had an interesting conversation with someone once upon a time who said that our version of gardening today is so incredibly selfish. And I didn't disagree. I was just like, sure, but what do you mean by that? Well, the fact that we take the space and we rip out everything that's there, we till it, we mow it, we whatever, we cut it down, and we farm and we plant just a couple of vegetables, and then we spray it and put up a fence and don't let the bugs and the animals get to it. So we have these non-native vegetable or produce type of things for us, and we are eliminating the space and all of the diversity that could be there with current cultural practices. And I thought, wow, that really opened my mind. Like, why can't we mix flowers and vegetables in the same garden?
Well, the part of my gardening journey that I skipped right over earlier is the whole permaculture phase,
Ooh, yeah.
which is when I lived in Toronto for 9 years. I dealt with being in a metropolis by getting into food security and permaculture, and I started a communal permaculture garden in my neighborhood. And one of the things I love about that whole system and way of thinking is that it does think about the other living things in the area because A permaculture design is essentially a food-producing ecosystem of which humans are a part. And
Yeah.
so if you have deer, well, it's not necessarily about fencing in your vegetable garden. Instead, a permaculturist would say, well, can you plant a hedge that is full of food for deer that would kind of guide them away from your vegetable plot?
I love
And
that.
also, it's not a typical vegetable plot of concentrated little parterre area. It's as many perennials as you can get mixed in with plants for pollinators and fruit trees and things of different heights and different types, all blended in so that you aren't this beacon for insects or animals coming in to eat this hugely concentrated area of one type of food.
Oh, yeah. If you have a monoculture, which is what you just said at the end there, one type of food, if you have any problem, it's gone. It's all.
Yep.
That's why that's another bonus for genetic diversity. So I think that we've both sufficiently ranted for a little while. I know that we can go on this permaculture tangent as well. So let's make that a topic for another day, because I am absolutely for it, and all of the different side tangents related with permaculture, because I have some thoughts and I have some ideas. But let's move on. So normally we would go into a Q&A. This is generally the time of the podcast where we answer real questions from real people using real science. So if you'd like to submit a question to us, send us an email or comment on stuff on all of our socials, and all of that can be found in a link on the Contact Us page on our website, plantsalwayswin.com. It would appear that we've come to the end of the episode.
If you'd like to reach out to us with a topic suggestion or plant question, or just to say hi, you can find contact and social links at plantsalwayswin.com. There you can join our Discord, find show notes, access an ever-growing list of resources, and find some other friends of the podcast.
To support the show, you can give us a review on whatever podcast player you are using, follow us on social media, send us an email, or simply tell someone about us.
For as little as $2 a month, you can support the growth of this podcast by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/plantsalwayswin.
The music you hear during the intro and right now is called When My Ukulele Plays by Soundroll on upbeat.io.
Thanks to Sophia Elodin for designing and illustrating our website. Find her at sophia-elodin.com or at the Friends of the Podcast link on our website.
Thanks to you, Erin, my friend and co-host, for without whom I may not be doing the show right now.
Thanks to Sean, who planted the seeds of this podcast in the first place.
Thank you to our current and future patrons.
And thanks to your local library. Seriously, more than just books. Go check them out.
Last but not least, thank you, dear listener, for you are the sunshine that keeps this podcast growing.
So go forth, head outside, touch grass, breathe the fresh forest air. And remember, it doesn't matter if you garden by the book or by the seat of your pants.
Plants always win. Hey, we're getting faster with that.